Mr. Worfel, who initiated the targeting of conservative organizations for extra scrutiny based on their political beliefs?
That question is still subject to further investigation.
Who have you interviewed in the IRS on that matter?
There are a variety of different employees being interviewed by the Inspector General of the Justice Department. I know you're going to make the point that I have not personally interviewed the employees. I understand that.
Because you just testified. You've not interviewed
I have not.
anyone within your agency.
Right, and if it's helpful to the committee, I can explain the structure of my review and
Let's go to
how we're uncovering every fact.
Let's go to the key question.
Please.
You don't know who initiated the targeting. Who initiated the targeting of donors to conservative organizations to improperly apply the gift tax to their donations?
Again, the types of questions that were raised to donors, who
I guess
did
is my question.
It's still subject to further investigation. I'm just taking issue with the targeting of donors. I want to make sure that there's no supposition.
Commissioner, please. At this point, you haven't interviewed them yet, so you honestly don't know, correct?
It's not a question of that we haven't interviewed. It's a question that the investigation is ongoing.
Who leaked private taxpayer information, including donors, to the National Organization for Marriage, to the Huffington Post, and the Human Rights Campaign? Do you know?
I do not have that information.
Who leaked private taxpayer information for 31 conservative groups to the media, specifically ProPublica? Do you know?
I don't have that information. I will point out that the IG reviewed those circumstances and found those releases of information to be not intentional.
But you don't know who leaked it?
I don't have that information at my fingertips.
Who leaked private tax information to participants at the President's Economic Recovery Advisory Board?
Again, I'd have to learn more about the circumstances of each issue that you're identifying.
Who at the agency in Washington or within the White House was involved in the targeting, delay, and intimidation of applicants on the Be on the Lookout list? Do you know?
That I can answer some of the questions. I will say this. I am not aware of anyone at the White House that was involved in this, or the Treasury Department or otherwise. As I've said, all the evidence that we have points to the involvement of individuals within the IRS, and I'm happy to talk through that with you.
Let's talk through this.
Okay.
In regard to the targeting and delays of the King Street Tea Party True the Vote application, who at the IRS shared private taxpayer information to other federal agencies such as the FBI, ATF, and OSHA?
I believe, based on the question, you've just asked me a question about a specific taxpayer, and I can't answer that question.
Finally, who at the IRS was involved in covering up this pattern of abuse within the agency and concealing it from the public and Congress for the past 2 years?
Again, I don't know that I would be comfortable with the characterizations in the question, but I'm happy to walk through the managerial chain with you and the events as I understand them.
I guess my point is, you're not conducting interviews. You don't know answers to the key questions. Yet, in your report, you declare there is no evidence of intentional wrongdoing or misconduct on the part of IRS personnel. No evidence of intentional wrongdoing. Mr. Worfel, this report is a sham. I would call it a whitewash, but it's too thin and unsubstantial to even meet that description. And my point to you is that you don't work for the IRS. You work for the American people. Now, your job isn't to cover up. It is to open up this agency, because what we're seeing, these patterns of abuse and intimidation, the only goal appears to be to silence the voice of people whose views you don't like. And so getting to the truth is critical. So my question is, I'm told you're a decent person. So are you serious about getting to the truth?
Absolutely.
Are you serious about restoring the integrity of the IRS?
I'm serious about getting to the truth, and I'm serious about doing it consistent with the rule of law and procedure. And many of the criticisms that you're levying in your set of questions, in order for me to overcome those criticisms, in many cases I'd have to violate that law and rule of procedure.
Let's do this.
So
let's do this.
Okay, go ahead.
Since you're serious, will you commit to returning to the committee in 30 days with more complete answers to the key questions before us?
Absolutely. As these answers become available, I'm ready to submit them. But I think it's very important to understand that in gathering these answers, we have to follow the rule of law and procedures. So the point
wouldn't it have been great
Could the witness
The IRS
finish in
in a
point of
moment,
order?
If I can
Mr.
finish.
Brady controls the time.
But let him answer. Let
Wouldn't it have
witness
been
answer the
terrific?
question.
It is up to Mr. Brady to conduct his questioning as he sees fit.
Wouldn't it have been terrific if the IRS had followed the rule of law and procedures when targeting these conservative groups and donors, leaking their private taxpayer information, concealing it from the public, and then misleading Congress? You need to understand one thing. The Ways and Means Committee is going to get to the truth, good or bad. We're not going to stop until we learn the whole truth. We're going to reveal who initiated these abuses, who participated, who encouraged them, and who concealed them. We're going to hold them accountable, including you, if you hinder this investigation. And then we're going to make sure the IRS never does this again to average taxpayers.
All right, time has expired. Mr. McDermott is recognized.